it just makes the bones go down so much quicker. I don't know why, but it does. So I think everybody needs to know that if they're wearing a brace. So yeah, talking about the body tension and all the negative body effects and the chronic pain effects and everything that'll happen to you mentally and physically. You're gonna become very tense, and the anxiety and stuff, your anxiety is gonna rise. I didn't have an anxiety problem before, but it caused one, and I'm really now just addressing it, or not just addressing it. I'm only now fully like figuring that out and fixing it. But so you're gonna want to stretch. I'm gonna show stretches too that are really important for pectus carinatum. A whole nother aspect of the whole thing is like the posture. Your posture is gonna be affected by having pectus carinatum. You're gonna have anterior pelvic tilt, which is where you're like your pelvis is like leaned back. I hope you probably don't know what I mean unless you already know what that term is, but besides the point. But your posture is going to be affected by having pectus carinatum. You're going to be like more kind of hunched over looking, all kinds of postural effects. These are important to address, and certain stretches can really benefit these, and certain kinds of exercises can really benefit this. So fitness is really important, and as someone with pectus carinatum, you have to take the wheel, and you really gotta prioritize fitness and a certain kind of fitness. You have to be smart about your fitness, because you can't just follow the same advice that everyone else follows. It might not work for you. A lot of people with pectus carinatum have scoliosis too. I don't have scoliosis, but it's like a slight, almost scoliosis in myself. It's like a situational scoliosis. The spine itself is straight, but then if I'm like sitting in certain positions, it'll like be curved. Yeah, a lot of people with pectus carinatum have some version of scoliosis, and I mean that comes with a whole set of it affects how you're going to exercise too, going back to my original point. Not to mention it further adds to the back pain and the tenseness and everything that's going to be caused by your brace and by having pectus carinatum. You're going to have a lot of back pain and stuff. I'm going to show a video on how to address the back pain because, well, I used to deal with back pain a lot. I don't really even have back pain much anymore. I mean, sometimes they're in pain. It used to be a huge problem in my life. I've pretty much fixed it with all my methods. So yeah, all these things are gonna come into play. Okay, going back to my personal story, because like I said, that's all I really have to go off of. Yeah, so going back to my personal story, why I started getting so obsessed with my brace. I had this one really bad social experience with a really good close friend of mine at the time, not a good friend, but who kind of like ridiculed me for the appearance of my chest. It was like we had like been like drunk partying that night before, and I had woke up and I was like hungover and like shirtless and stuff, and I don't know, I had lost so much weight overnight from from throwing up and the alcohol, which, that's a whole separate thing. I don't recommend drinking, but so my bones were kind of like sticking up a lot, and also my skin was very had like a rash, not a rash, but from all the rubbing of the brace, my chest was like already red because of the brace wearing, and so it really like stuck out and looked kind of like stuck out. And my friend came in, he was like, noticed my chest and was like, and I was already like I said, guys, I was like wary of how people might interpret my chest, how people might see it, because I wasn't with my shirt off that often, and so I didn't know how people would react to my chest since I had gone through puberty and since it had changed a lot. And so I was like very attentive, like how is this person gonna react? He comes in, he was like, "Ew, you're so disgusting, like what's wrong with your chest? It's so disgusting." and he kind of like made a big scene of freaking out like that. He was a very insecure person himself. Um, you know, he was not like the typical person, but in my mind, I took his, and of course, I had friends that saw my chest also, and that just, didn't react or anything, didn't really think anything of it, or didn't say anything if they did. Um, but it's easy to focus on the negative reactions and take it. My advice would be, don't let one person's interpretation of you or reality become your interpretation of it. I mean, just because one person says something, it's not gospel. It's not like means anything. They're usually just trying to like put you down for their own personal gain, and they're usually got a lot of problems themselves and insecurities, almost always. So that happened to me, and that was one of the only social situations I had where people were seeing my chest. So I took that as how everyone was going to interpret my chest, and that is not a good way to do it. Most people are really nice people, so don't assume that everyone is going to be the worst case scenario. Um, when people do talk bad about you, talk down to you, ridicule you for something like that, you need to stand up for yourself for sure. And maybe I could talk about that more later, but you definitely have to stand up for yourself. So one other thing I wanted to cover was the breathing, how pectus carinatum affects your breathing. It's definitely something that doctors will overlook when they say that it's just a cosmetic problem. It definitely causes breathing problems. I definitely have experienced that. It's obviously very dependent on your personal pectus carinatum. For me, when the way my ribs are structured, when I'm resting, it doesn't fully exhale for me. Like, my body doesn't fully exhale naturally. I have to like use the muscles to contract. I have to contract my abdomen muscles to push out the final little bits of air to go to a full exhale. Now, that doesn't affect me that much. I've gotten more used to it. It's helped to get in great shape. You want to have great cardiovascular shape, and it will just fix anything that was wrong. If you have better cardiovascular strength than the average person, then your breathing is going to be pretty much average or above average. You can fix it. And that's one good point about pectus carinatum, which is that it's going to encourage you to have better fitness overall because of these shortcomings of it and because of how it looks, and if you want to change that. So you're naturally going to have a lot more motivation to work out and to get fit than most people. So and that's going to affect you in all areas of life. I mean, if you're working out and you're putting out the willpower there to do that, and you're experiencing all the benefits there, it makes you just a happier person. It makes you more productive in other ways, successful in all areas of your life. So there are definitely silver linings to this whole pectus carinatum thing. I'm starting to see those more now as I've gotten older, and I've come through the hard stages of it. Even once I got rid of the brace, I had spent so much time obsessing with my body and treating my body like it was like something that needed to be fixed, that there was something wrong with my body, that I had just had that mentality so built into me that it really lowered my self-esteem in that way around my body. And because of this, I felt uncomfortable with people touching me. I didn't want them to touch me and like feel an aversion. I was freaked out about that. So it leaves a lot of mental scars, which you can deal with later. But you want to deal with these things proactively and not build a really negative mindset about changing your pectus carinatum. Don't think I need to change this because there's something really wrong now. You got to be okay with it at any given point, and you got to be okay with other people knowing about it. You don't want to hide it. I started avoiding hanging out with friends because I wanted to spend more time wearing the brace, because I was so diligent and concerned about wearing my brace enough that I would literally pass up all these opportunities to hang out with friends, and it's just became more reclusive. If I was going back to if I had to go back and give myself advice then, I would say, like, don't hide your pectus carinatum, don't hide the brace you're wearing, embrace your brace, and tell people that you're wearing it, talk about it. Just don't build this air of secrecy and silence about it. You know, you don't have to tell everybody. I'm not going to necessarily recommend wearing it at school, although I wouldn't not recommend it, but be okay with telling people it, but you don't have to tell everybody. But definitely the people close in your life should be aware, because it's going to be a very big deal wearing that thing all the time. Maybe not a huge deal, maybe I'm overblowing it, but it's a somewhat big deal. So, you know, I wore my brace, finally decided to stop wearing it at some point when I was like 18, and now when I look at that brace, I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to look at that thing. All those bad times wearing that thing. I didn't throw it away, it's just way too sentimental. It had so much importance in my life during that period and building me into who I am, building me into a person with a lot of willpower. It was the hardest thing I did in my life at a young age, because, you know, I didn't really have to do anything that hard in my life until then, and that was very hard. It takes a lot of willpower to wear something on your chest all day, all night, compressing you in pain constantly, and to do that willingly. No one's telling you to do it, you're doing it yourself. That takes a lot of willpower, and that builds you a certain character of person. Builds a really detailed self-awareness too of your body and how it feels and how it looks and everything like that. These skills transfer. So yeah, now I look at my brace and I just I'm disgusted by it. It freaks me out to even look at it a little bit. But you know, overall now it's a happy ending for my personal story in terms of pectus carinatum. Now I'm making these videos, I want to revisit my past and provide value for other people going through this experience, provide information, and provide a voice, a face to look at and relate to that's going through the same experience. So if you're watching this right now, well, thank you for watching this far. I'm really appreciative that you watched my video. Leave a comment, just anything. Don't hide in silence. Leave a comment. Just say hey, anything. I will make more videos soon, and that's it.